Last week, the Trump administration just added a new terrorism category to the official United States counterterrorism strategy. The category is called Violent Secular Political Groups, whose ideology is anti American, radical pro transgender, and anarchist. Here's the problem: the term radically pro transgender appears nowhere in federal law. It has no legal definition. The administration did not define it in the document. They handed that phrase to every joint terrorism task force in the country and they told them to use it. That means the people who decide what radically pro transgender means are field agents, prosecutors, and intelligence analysts operating under a national security framework that moves fast and asks questions later. And here's what that framework actually does to you once you are inside it. You do not get charged first. You do not get a hearing first. Your assets can be frozen, and it becomes a federal crime for anyone to provide you material support. Surveillance authorities expand against you and anyone associated with you. All that happens before a single charge is filed, before a single court appearance, before you have any opportunity to defend yourself. That is not a punishment for something you did. That is a punishment for fitting a category that one administration defined in a document with no congressional approval, no evidentiary standard, and no definition of the key term. Now let's talk about the evidence behind this category. The Center for Strategic and International Studies is a bipartisan national security organization. They have tracked every extremist attack in the United States for a decade. Their data shows right-wing extremists carried out 152 attacks and killed 112 people over that period. Left-wing extremists carried out 35 attacks and killed 13 people. The 2026 counterterrorism strategy elevates left-wing and pro-transgender ideology as a priority threat category. It does not name right-wing extremism as a priority threat category at all. The strategy does not address that asymmetry. It does not explain it. It just ignores the data and builds a new enforcement category anyways. This is not the first time a government has used the national security framework to build a surveillance and enforcement category around a group of people it wants to target. A Florida court blocked a similar state level designation of a Muslim civil rights organization earlier this year, ruling that a government official cannot unilaterally designate a civil rights group as a terrorist organization to make a political statement at the expense of our constitutional rights. The First Amendment bars it. That case went to court and the designation was blocked. The federal version of this is harder to challenge because a national counterterrorism strategy is an executive document. Congress was not asked to authorize it, there was no public comment period, there was no vote. One administration signed a document and handed an undefined ideological category to the national security apparatus. This should concern you whether you are progressive or libertarian or Republican. The same authority that today defines radically pro-transgender as a terrorism-adjacent category is the same authority that tomorrow can define any ideology it does not like the same way. There is no limiting principle in this document. There is no definition, and there is no evidentiary threshold. There is no due process before the consequences hit. I am calling on Rand Paul and the Senate Judiciary Committee to demand a public hearing on the evidentiary basis for this designation. What data supports it? Who defined the term? What legal standard governs its application? And what oversight mechanism exists to prevent it being applied to people who simply hold a political opinion this administration disagrees with? It's starting to sound a lot like a political witch hunt. If the government can build a terrorism surveillance category around an undefined ideological term with no congressional authorization and no evidentiary standard, your rights are next. It does not matter what you believe. It matters that the mechanism exists. My name is Lydia Christensen. I'm running for the U.S. Senate in Michigan as an independent. Make sure you hit follow for daily coverage as what is actually happening in the Senate and adjacent terms in a federal government.